Don Rickles is here. For more than 50 years, he's entertained audiences around the world. He maintained close friendship with everyone from Bob Newhart to Frank Sinatra and Johnny Carson. He has written a new memoir with David Ritz called Rickles' Book. The New York Times said, "We might have known it all along. Rickles is a softie. He professes his love for Sinatra, his love for his mother, his love for his wife, and his love for the L.A. Dodgers. More affecting than these avowals, however, are the comic's sideways reveries about the business of show." That from the New York Times. We're proud to have him at this table. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Charlie. It's a very nice introduction. I appreciate
what will you tell me now that you've reached 80 and you walk around? There is 81, a reverence. They say, "Mr. Rickles, are you okay? Are you happy? Do we get you some water? Was the seat okay with you, Mr. Rickles?"
Yeah, and it's not only the seating, it's an atmosphere of, well, respect, you know, and I'm a street guy. I know, in other words, born and raised in New York. I walk down the street and I'm very approachable and I go, "Hey, Rickles, hockey puck, how are you?" To this day. They all call me hockey puck. I can't figure out how I got that. That's another story. But they always are approachable towards me, and I feel that. But I feel there's a greater warmth and a greater feeling that I have and they have towards me. That's just my feeling.
Why did you decide to write this?
Well, Simon & Schuster came to us.
That's a good one. Publisher says, we'd like a book.
David Rosenthal came out to California. Really made a thing. And David came out and he sat down with me, said, "Write a book." And I said exactly what a lot of people say. Everybody's writing a book. You know, comedians especially. They're all trying to write a book. I said, "I can't write books. My education is not that terrific." Like this other gentleman that you had spoken to. They all, you know, education is so important. And I never had that. I said, "David, I can't write a book." He said, "Yes, you can." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's you." He said, "And you will do it in your voice." And how he did it, David Ritz, who wrote the Ray Charles story and many other things, a fine writer, was helping me to put it together. In other words, he would sit at the
the computer.
Computer, thanks. Big word, Charlie. You know, when I'm with you, big word. Computer. I got to put that in my album. Anyway, computer. And he would sit at the computer and triple space it.
Yeah.
I would say something. He'd say, "No, I don't say it like that, David." Then I would rewrite it. And when you read the book, people tell me it sounds like my voice, which I wanted to, and David wanted to.
That's essential. It's essential. It wouldn't work. It's not in your voice. Here's the thing that I would think Rosenthal would be lured by you to do, is to tell stories. I mean, you, not only the people you've worked with, not only the career you've had, not only an understanding of show business because of longevity, you know people, you have stories, you've been on stage, you've been backstage, you've done it all. Movies,
and I'm
music.
I'm proud to say the highlight of my career, Charlie, is when you say backstage at showbiz, believe it or not, is when Frank Sinatra had me at the Ronald Reagan second inaugural.
Yeah.
That was the biggest treat of my life. And I was in Hawaii with my wife on vacation. Frank said, "You're coming to Washington. You're going to be on the second inaugural Ronald Reagan."
Right. He did their big rally.
And he went to the cabinet. And the cabinet said, "What are you?" And he said, "You don't have Rickles. You don't have me." That's what he said. I went to Washington and sat in the dressing room. And they said, "What is he going to say?" They said, "He says whatever he wants." I was so proud of that moment. And I walked out on that stage at the Kennedy Center, Ronald Reagan sitting there, and just looked at him and said, "Mr. President, for the kind of money I'm getting, I don't need this, you know." Because I don't tell jokes, I tell attitude, you know. And Ronald Reagan, who I knew when he was governor and all, it was a wonderful night. So that's what I mean. That gives me such a thrill that with my image, that I entertained the president and George Bush also, George Bush Sr. You know, so that's quite a thing for me.
Sinatra, though. You mentioned Sinatra. Yes. Where did this friendship start?
Well, you know, we all have heroes, and I was a very young man. My career started kind of late, but you know, I was in my late 20s and down in Florida, and I was working in this little place, and Frank Sinatra was headlining at the Fontainebleau. Yeah. And my mother, a very strong woman, which is in the book. You know, my mother's kind of woman. She said, "Hello, Charlie, how are you?" You know, and the table vibrates.
Yes,
you know.
And I mentioned your love for her.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, the New York Times did.
Yeah, and I used to hide behind her.
Mom,
and she said, "Stop being so self-conscious, you know. You're fucked." She called up Dolly Sinatra, and she got on the phone. "Dolly, darling, my
this
son..."
is Frank's mother?
Yeah. No, this is my mother, talking to Dolly's... talking to Frank's mother in the Fontainebleau. "Darling," and she knew her. She said, "Darling, my son is down at the Murray Franklin's little club. Would you get Frank there?" "Done, Etta. Done." That's my mother's name, Etta. Done. Frank will be there. I'll see to it." Walks in one night, unbeknown to me, walks into this little club that's had 100 people. Walks in, with all these guys who go, they all had bad throats. Frank, where is this going to be good? You know. So they all sit
You like
down.
it better over here, Frank?
You
all
have it. That's right. They put it. So they all sit down, and I said, Frank, God bless you. Why don't stand up, be yourself, and hit somebody? Well, he laughed his fanny off, and the guys went, is that funny, Frank? And he said, yeah. Had he not laughed, Billy Graham would be looking for me.
He would indeed. So that started what? A friendship, or
a friendship? Yes. And then, as time went on, we saw each other. And then he came to Las Vegas, and then he put me on his show with him in Las Vegas. Right. And he never had me as his opening act. He always gave me like co-billing, which was a wonderful treat. Radio City Music Hall here in New York.
Right.
Frank Sinatra and Don Rickles with the Count Basie Orchestra. It was fantastic. And then we did the Desert Inn in Las Vegas, and then we toured the country. The last 2 years of his working life, we toured the country. And then I had the pleasure.
Is this the tour that Dean dropped out of?
No. That was after I came later.
Right.
And then I was friends with him in Europe. He went to Monte Carlo together, and you know, he treated me like an equal.
There was a bad side, downside of Frank too.
Yes.
You'd see that or not?
Oh, sure. He had a
temper.
Yeah, it was either I love you or take a cab. It was very hard for him to be in between. Right. In other words, we could sit at a table and a guy would come over and say, hello, Frank, how are you? And Frank would say, tell him to go away. Say, tell him to go away. You know, he'd have his moods. But I must say, in all the years I knew him, he treated me like a kid brother. He never once turned on me. But I could see around him, people were nervous. But one thing, you know many people, certainly you know the world. He and a few presidents that I've met, when he walked into a room, Charlie, it stopped. Right. Absolutely stopped. This glass didn't move.
And what was that about?
He had a charisma, either fear.
Because he physically was an imposing guy.
Yes, but he gave that impression.
Yeah.
And there was a sense of fear and a sense of love.
Right.
It was a mixed thing. People were afraid to maybe pick up a glass, or he'd go, hey. And if he said hello and gave you a hug, some people thought that was their life, their night. You know?
Yeah, right.
I did, you know.
Yeah, it was a seal of approval that will take you a long way.
Right.
Other comedians that you have worked with and admired, for what? Who are they?
Well, Bob Newhart, naturally, is the top of the list. Bob's a charming guy and very, pardon me?
Good friends.
Oh, yeah, very. We've traveled the world together. Yeah. Before 9/11, 20 years, Jenny and Bob and my wife and I, and my joke is, which is so true, because we were so opposite. When he first saw me in the lounge in Las Vegas, I called his wife a hooker and told him he was a bumbling idiot, you know. He had no idea from that stuff at the time. But we became great friends because we both loved the same basic values. And the joke was the wives. If the wives get along, and that's true in life.
It is true in life.
If the wives get along with the girlfriends, you can become great friends. With a guy you're not crazy about. It wasn't that case with Bob, because we found out that we both quietly, when we're together to this very day, Christmas Eve, I spend at his house every Christmas Eve with my family and his family. And yet we laugh personally at the same stuff. On the stage, it's apples and oranges. We're two different products.
Did you know Johnny off stage?
Johnny Carson? Yes, I did. And he was another interesting man, a complete loner. It was hard to get with Johnny, but I became a friend, my wife and I, and he, and Newhart too. But I spent the last, 4 months before he passed away, we had dinner together. But he was the kind of guy.
4 months?
Yeah.
Was he suffering then? This was emphysema or something?
Yeah, he always smoked, and he had to watch himself. But, you know, he was the kind of guy, great, as you know, when the light went on, for me it was an event. When I was on, Johnny Carson, they said, Rickles is on tonight. It was an event. Why? He never looked at the notes. In other words, if it said, we're going to talk about baseball, he'd look at the notes and say, how's your mother? I'd say, you don't like my mother. Why are you bringing up my mother? And we would do 20 minutes about why he doesn't like my mother. And that became fun. You know, he always made it fun. And he always made me look great.
People say about him that his first interest was in making you look good.
Always.
More than any other host around.
Absolutely.
He was interested and would do anything to make you look good and would even give advice during the break.
Absolutely. He always said, you know, Don, we're going to talk about this, whatever you want to say, blah, blah, blah. But we never, it's interesting, in between the break, we never talked about anything. Never. He never said to me, Don, but not boom.
Would he speak, though?
Oh, no, he would say, you know, Thursday we'll have dinner, blah, blah, blah. Never talk about the show itself, what we were doing. And before the show, he would never come into my dressing room, You know, like Jay Leno does.
No, he walks
Jay's
down
a
the
fine
hall.
guy. Yeah.
He walks down the hall.
He would hide out up in his office. And then when we came out together, it was magic for me. It really was.
He never wanted to come back on stage after he left.
No.
Because, did he ever talk about it?
I think he had it. I think he just felt the candle was out, and he didn't have that.
And he had a perfect goodbye.
Oh,
I mean, with Bette Midler, it could not have been better.
That was magnificent.
You know?
Yeah, that was magnificent. And then he built this beautiful. He had this beautiful home, which is now in Point Dume, right. I'm a block away.
Right.
I
Is
have
it
a
Malibu?
hut. Yes, he has an estate. And I'm living in a hut. No, I live in a.
You're in the garage, and he's in the main house.
That's right. And the plan was we were going to come over. I said, "You come over to my little cottage, Johnny, and I'll really show you what class is." And poor thing passed away before that happened.
Yeah. He sailed a lot too, didn't he? I mean, he went
Yeah,
around
he
the
had a big
world.
yacht, yeah.
He was an amazingly curious guy.
Yeah, and he loved the stars.
He loved big stars.
Yeah, no.
Oh, the stars, astronomy.
Yeah. I mean, you come over the house, you'd say, look, you know, I knew nothing about
What'd you
that.
say?
Well, you went along for the show. To be on the show, I'd say,
there's the Big Dipper. You'd
Yeah.
say,
There's
I
Jupiter.
love the Big Dipper.
Yeah, well, that's right. Jupiter's great. Let's have a cup of coffee. Yeah.
And could I be on next week? How did the attitude stuff start?
In my personality, in school, as a young man in school, I was always the guy that, you know, for example, they were taking tests, and I'd stand up, and all of a sudden I'd be looking over another paper, and the teacher said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cheating." Cheating. And they would say, Rickles said that, you know, and it was like, and it was the way you said things, you know. I could say, you know, "Charlie, I'm sitting here," like I did a little tape about you, which you'll hear, but I mean, I said it with you, Charlie, and I'll tell you very truthfully, I'm not too crazy about you.
Not that.
Yeah, not my cup of tea, but we're going along with it for the kind of money you're paying.
Exactly.
But it's all attitude. And I had that in high school. I had that in,
You're
in
more
the
of a
Navy.
Larry King guy, I
in
know,
the Navy,
right.
you know, in the Navy, it was really. I kept saying,
What would happen in the Navy?
Well, I wanted to be in special service, and I kept going, you know, it's in the book, stamp the paper, and there I am in the Philippines. The guy says, keep firing over there, that plane over there. I said, no, I do jokes, just keep firing.
Has it ever gone too far for you?
I tell you the truth. This is the God's truth, Charlie, as I sit here now, as 81 years of age. Everything I've ever said, and that's a key thing, I've believed in. In other words, I throw my shot on the stage in fun, and I make fun of people, I make fun of my life. What I do is exaggerate. That's all I do. They call me insult. Insult, I wouldn't be headlining in Las Vegas and Atlantic City and all over the world, well, not the world, the United States, if I was somebody that was mean and terrible and rude. It's not that at all. And it's not, and I never backed up. In other words, when I throw my lines, I always say I believe in it. Yeah. And I've never looked back and said, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that," because that's the kiss of death. It's like a fight. If you say, "Oh, nah, better not," you know how fighters when they're through, they can't throw that punch.
If they start pulling back, they will never have another win.
Yeah.
Vegas stage was the greatest platform for you.
Vegas is exciting for any young entertainer that's coming up.
Comics.
Yeah, especially
and
Canadians,
singers,
of course, and singers. It was the capital. Today it's getting less and less because it's now big productions and so on.
Right.
I've been fortunate
Cirque du Soleil and all
headline
that.
at the Golden Nugget. You know, I got a wonderful arrangement there, and it's great. You know, and I just came from Atlantic City, from resorts in Hilton, and working these cities. People still want to see personalities, you know, but they're getting less and less because they're using these big production shows. But I've been very fortunate. I've been in Vegas now 45 years. I mean, and they said you have to gamble if you want to stay in Vegas. And I never gambled a penny. And I'm not cheap, believe me. But I never bet. I never bet. Don't know how to play cards.
Why not?
My father subconsciously was a guy, lovely, great dad. But he was like, in those days, there was an insurance man and $2, $5 on the horses.
Right.
My mother used to say, "Max, what are you doing?" "Well, I was busy all day. He was out at the track."
Right.
And somehow that bothered me. That affected my father. And don't ask me how, but I never felt I couldn't play cards to this day. Come on, I did a picture with Garson Kanin and David Jansen, and I played a dealer, supposedly a shady
What was the
dealer.
movie?
I forget.
Okay.
Look it up. Anyway,
it's in the book.
And I played the dealer, and Kanan says, "Deal the cards and take them out of the shoe." I couldn't do it. I was fumbling. I had to get somebody to double my hands because I never could handle that.
But Vegas is changing. Are the comedians still doing?
Oh, the
much work?
Seinfelds, you know, Elton John, you know, some of the major stuff. And thank God, yours truly. But I think it's getting less and less that they're going for big production shows because the hotels are getting so massive, you know, and it's family. They're getting very. I loved it when it was the guys when I first started, you know, 30, 40 years ago, when the guy said, You want a cup of coffee? You know, you want to have your whole family stay for a year? You know, it was like today you get a cup of coffee, sign here, sign there, just coffee. It's like downstairs when I came in to do your show. And then the guy at the end, after he made me go through the whole thing with the badge, he said, would you write good luck to Mary? Good luck to Mary.
You could not go in the building without a badge.
I swear to God. The guy said, would you write good luck to Mary?
It happens all the time. The act that you do, does it vary from night to night to night simply because who's in the audience? And how much of it is simply in your head and how much of it is planned?
Well, I have a beginning, which I have a middle and an ending. And each night I would say about...
Go ahead.
Each night I would say about 5% changes around my surroundings. And it's not only Charlie, the audience itself. It's where I am, what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And the atmosphere that I have around me. And that creates a difference. And I create a lot of stuff as I'm working, and a lot of ad-libbing that's not in the regular performance. So every night the show does change, according to my mood and what have you. And I'm kind of proud of that.
Do you think, as people often write, two things? One, that comedians are crying out to be loved.
Mm-hmm. I think so, definitely. Sure.
We're
selling ourselves. We have... You stand out there on that stage, we don't have a car, we don't have a glass, we don't have a toy.
Right.
You know,
it's one person.
Hello, folks. You know, if you don't like hello, folks,
and an audience full of people who are saying, make me laugh.
That's true. That's true. Not so much in Vegas, though. Not so much in Vegas, and not so much in Atlantic City. They're there to have fun. I mean, they come to see you. They buy a ticket.
Right.
They know who they're going to see.
They have a couple of drinks, and they want to be happy.
And they're dying to see you, you know.
Yeah. So therefore, you're halfway there with them because the slightest thing will put them into recognition and a laugh.
But now, after so many years, when I travel around the country, it's not that way anymore for me because I know when they buy the hard ticket, they really want to see me. And I know that it's not a challenge anymore. It's just the ones that are not sure, out of curiosity, is he going to make fun of my aunt or call me a moron? You know, some people do that. But they come and they know what to expect.
There is also this, I suspect. People want to be insulted, or they want you to come after them because it's sort of almost a mark of distinction to be in that audience and have you pick them out.
Yeah, some people do, and I have a knack. I don't know how, but I have a knack of making fun of somebody and exaggerating without hurting them, and doing it in such a way that they said, "Oh, that was great." You know, in other words, when I walk out and I see a guy and I say, "I'm a friend. Lose some weight." You know, it's a heavy guy. And he laughs because it's the way I said it, like I said it to you. And it's done quickly. And the guy, a big, heavy guy, will laugh. So another person says it's straight and might be offended by it. So it's always what I see around me.
It's been a great life.
God has been good to me. I don't mean to get dramatic, but I have 2 grown children, 2 grandchildren, a wonderful wife who's completely opposite in a sense, but again, basically
How is she opposite?
She's like a Valium, you know. She goes, I say, that was a great show. It was good. No, listen, let's go and have dinner. It's 8:30. We're on a little long. Dinner. Let's have dinner. Now, that doesn't mean she don't enjoy it, but she's seen it so many years, and she'll say to me as we're going to bed at night, she'll say, it's a good show. And she has that charm about her. She's wonderful.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
42 years.
Is that right? And 2 kids, you say?
2 grown children and 2 grandchildren.
2 grandchildren.
Yeah, I have a son, Larry, and a daughter, Mindy, and 2 grandchildren, Harrison and Ethan.
No regrets?
No regrets, thank God.
Anything you wish that you could have done, you didn't do?
Believe it or not,
movies?
I would have loved to have been on Broadway.
Really?
And I would have, like I told to Nathan Lane and producers, like 50 years ago, I think Nathan agreed I could have played that part. And producers, a show like that. And there were so many other shows on Broadway.
Did you try hard to be
on Broadway? I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I graduated.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people still in shock when now they call me once in a while and say, would you come, Mr. Rickles, and make a speech? They never had my name in an ad. It was like, shh, don't say this guy. And I went to the American and graduated with Tom Poston, rest of soul, Jason Robards, Anne Bancroft.
Jason was there?
Yeah, it was my buddy. We hung out together. Tom, too. And Anne Bancroft, rest of soul, and Grace Kelly was in the class.
One of the great nights at this table was Jason Robards and Zoe Caldwell here. And
he's something else, wasn't he?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, the
brilliant.
sense of dignity and the sense of...
Oh, Iceman cometh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable.
And yet, when you're with him alone as a friend, talk about the Yankees, talk about the Dodgers, you know.
And a lot of friends around here, too. A lot of friends. When you think about the business of show business, is it getting better? Is it different today? Has it changed? I mean, you told me how Vegas has changed. Has the work of comedians changed? Is television there more or less because of the changing nature?
Well, I think there's so many comedy clubs now. In my day, there wasn't. We just had joints, what we called joints. I played at a place, the Wayne Room in Washington. It was like a storefront with a bunch of striptease
What was it
artists.
called?
The Wayne Room.
Oh, the Wayne Room. Yeah.
And would you believe every senator, including a great man, God, I erased that. Great man, Walter Cronkite, can you imagine? Came in and watched me in those days. Yeah. You know, he I certainly want to see this boy, because they used to talk about me being in the strip joint. But today, what I'm getting to, it was all strip. Today, it's comedy clubs. And they're strong with the language, which seems to be a big hit. Yeah. Don't ask me why, but it is. And they have the opportunity, if they're seen by the right guy, to immediately get a television show, which is great, you know. My day, it wasn't like that, you know. And you were canceled in but Johnny Carson's great line, he had more pilots than the Japanese Air Force, you know. Because they all went in the dumper. So my television career was...
Johnny's talking about himself?
No, about me.
Oh, about you.
Oh,
okay.
no. Me. I had a thing called CPO Sharky, which was...
Oh, I remember that, yes.
That wasn't too bad, but that didn't last either. I took a cab. But everything I ever did, because I was bigger than, you know what I'm saying, Charlie? I realized later in life, I was bigger on the screen. In other words, when they said, quiet, I'd go, where's the gun? The cameras would vibrate. I was a little too big.
It's sort of,
Yeah, and it scared people. That's my opinion.
Did anybody ever say...
Oh, yeah, the Academy, they always said. But if I lost that, maybe I would be sitting with Charlie Rose talking about my career.
Oh, whatever your name is.
Yeah, right, because the energy would be gone, you know.
Yeah. When you think about... Did you go to Europe much? Did you perform in Europe?
Oh, no, never. Yes, I did. This is it. I performed for Princess Margaret. Bob Hope brought me to England.
Yeah.
If you have a minute.
We have a minute.
Bob Hope brought me to England with a golf tour. Yeah. And had me and Newhart and Tully Savalas and all the stars in those days to come. And in England, Roger Moore and Jack Hawkins,
right,
and Anthony Quayle and all the distinguished, and all the British comedians I can't think offhand right now. But they were all there. And it was in this hotel, big.
And and also in the audience is Princess Margaret.
Princess Margaret, yes, sitting at a table with
and the royal booth.
Yeah, and Bob. To make a long story short, he had Tully Savalas and talks about him. Bob Newhart, God bless him, does his thing because I'm trouble, you know. And Bob Hope now brings me there, wants me.
Now they want you early in the game or late in the game.
On the show, you mean?
Yeah.
I was the end.
You were the end, exactly.
My name...
You do not want
to There was a man called
Mr.
Marvin.
Rickles.
There was a man called Marvin Davis who passed away.
I know Marvin Davis.
And Marvin was a great friend, and we used to go to his parties, and my name was, and now. This is after everybody spoke for the toast. Bang, bang, bang. And now. I never had a name. It was a now. And I had to get up and make fun of everybody and then sit down.
You were a closer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So now, same thing. Bob Hope gets up.
Right.
I want to tell you, folks, this kid is going to be, and I want to say, he doesn't mean any harm. He's a nice kid. And he really is going to entertain you, ma'am. And I'm telling you, he's not mean. He's not this. He's a nice guy. You're going to enjoy him. He's not a bad guy. I think, you know, I think you're going to like. I want to tell you, he's really a sweetheart of a guy. You're not going to be. Hey, and I'm sitting there. I said, give me a triple vodka. I'm sitting there, and you know, in England, how to give the vodka. The guy got it to here. I said, that's for a sty. I said, fill it up so I can drink, please. And Don Newhart's pouring the vodka, and the guy comes over, and I do the show, and I make fun of the Queen, and the boom. Yeah. And calls me over. Hope says, I'll go with you. And now it's, she only wants to see Mr. Rickles. Well, all they said, so Newhart says, I'll go to the airport. I'll get the luggage. Don't worry, Rick. Don, it's covered, sweetheart.
I'll take the wife to the airport.
We won't be
on the plane.
Yeah. Because this time, I really ripped it up pretty good. So I got off to I go and sit down with Princess Margaret. She sits down with me, Charlie. I swear to God. She said, you know something? You're very quick. I didn't understand everything, but very quick. I enjoyed. Do you drink? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, what do you drink? I said, vodka. Give him a double vodka and give me a gin and tonic. Boom. I was sitting there. Good luck, boom. She says, you're very quick. And she says, are you Jewish? And so I said, oh, she's anti-Semitic. So it's true.
What did you say?
And Anthony Quayle leans over. He says, no, that's only in a dossier, Don. She doesn't mean anything dumb. I didn't think she did, but, you know, but I did one of your mistakes. I'm Jewish. Yeah. So he said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay. She said, I understand. She had a whole dossier. I understand that your mother lives in Florida. She said, yes. My mother lives right here down the street here, you know. Talk about the Queen.
Yes, right, in Buckingham Palace.
She said, and your mother lives in a condominium. Said, yes, Mom has a beautiful Beautiful condominium.
Yes.
Beautiful condominium, right?
Just an apartment
She
upstairs.
said, and my mom has emphysema. She said, your mom has emphysema. My mom has emphysema. This is the Queen of England.
Yes,
She said,
yes.
so they're both alike, Tom. Both have emphysema. Both have condominiums.
They should be. Edda should know.
That's right.
Edda should know whatever the Queen Mother's name was.
That's right. You know what I said to her?
What?
I said, there's one difference, ma'am. She said, what's that? Your mother has a flag on the roof.
How long did your mother live?
She was 83.
So was that, how many years ago? Was that?
Oh, about 20 now.
20 years ago, yeah. She must have loved your success.
Well, she lived it through me. You would remember. She thought she was Sophie Tucker. You know, she used to, at a party, she's the first one to get up. Some of these days, you know, you hit a bell.
But was she a stage mother?
Yeah, no, she wasn't the one that would.
Not in the negative sense.
No, she was the stage mother in the sense that she pushed me. She would come to a club and say to the boss, "Wasn't he marvelous? Did you enjoy?" She's American born, very bright.
Great.
Was this man marvelous? Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Yeah.
Now she would.
You liked my Don, didn't you?
Yes, and she
That's
would
what
do
she'd say.
But quietly, she said, "Why can't you be like Alan King? Why can't you be nice? Why do you pick on people?" Yes. And when people would come around, "Isn't he wonderful? Isn't he great?" But it really, she never really got it.
She never got what it was that made you great.
That's it. That's it. You said it better than me. Never could figure that. She loved that Alan King, rest his soul. She loved that kind of quiet humor, like Newhart. You know what I'm saying? It's not quiet, but it's sophisticated.
If you went back and looked over the last 30 years at most of the great comedians, whoever list you would take a compilation of all the great comedians that are alive and say, who were the greats? What percentage of them would be Jewish?
Oh, God, 50%.
50%. And why is that?
I don't know, the upbringing, the background, like the Italians are singers. You know?
Yeah.
Who's to say? You know? But if you want to, I have a good psychiatrist that can sit with you, Charlie. I can't handle everything.
Well,
give me a break, Charlie. You know?
The only reason I don't do that, I'd be there forever. You know?
God,
I'd just say, what's your problem? And I would be there, and there, and there.
You're delightful.
Yeah. How many Dodgers games do you go to? You love the Dodgers?
Not many. I enjoy it at home. Only because,
because they're not winning.
No, because, not only that, but when you go to a game, you know, Mr. Rickles, say hello to Maria.
Yeah.
Charlie, say hello to Rickles, hey, hockey puck. And all of a sudden, then when I go to the private club, I'm up there, you know, having a vodka, boom. This guy, hey, Don, how are you? And I said, what inning is it? I never see the games. So it's not that comfortable. I love it when I do go with a few friends, which has been rare.
But that's true wherever you go, isn't it? It's not just at a baseball game. It's true.
Well, but a baseball game, I love to concentrate. Movies, they can't bother you. There's no bother in a movie.
Because they don't make a lot of noise in the movie theater. Yeah. But in the lobby when you're waiting for popcorn.
Well, they don't bother me too much. And
if it's not there,
but I'm a great guy with some guys can't do that. Like, you know, Clint Eastwood, who I adore, you know. They don't approach him. We could walk down the street together. They wouldn't bother. If it's Clint Eastwood, they come up to Rickles, how are you? What's the matter with him? You know, and Robert De Niro, Clint Eastwood, they hide under tables when they have meals, you know. I say, how's the coffee? Shh, don't ask for coffee. Go here. And they're making $80 billion when the light goes on. But they're very loners within themselves.
Other than Newhart, who makes you laugh?
Gee, who makes me laugh? Well, when I was a kid, Milton Berle, as so used to me. When I was very young. As I got older, Milton was more of a friend that I knew what he did too well. But when I was a kid...
In other words, you could see it coming. And
Yeah. And I knew all his shtick, so to speak. But it makes me laugh. As I said, it's hard to pick out Charlie in particular who makes me laugh, because today...
Was Hackett funny for you when he was alive?
Yeah, I thought he was funny.
Alan was
brilliant. He was. Alan King had a great attitude, and I thought he... style and class. He really did.
How about the young one?
Shecky Green.
But these were club guys.
Shecky Green.
These were club guys.
Yeah, brilliant guy. Brilliant comedy.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Did you ever perform with Richard Pryor?
No, Richard used to come to see me in a place called the Slate Brothers, where I got a start in California.
Yeah.
He'd say, boy, what you do, boom, boom. He was nobody. What you do, wow, you make fun of people. And you know what?
Is that what he would say?
Yeah. Gee, how do you do that? Boom. Yeah. You remember what happened.
The stand-up guys look at him with awe.
Yeah, you know? And Lenny Bruce also.
Like, same thing.
Yeah, and Lenny Bruce was strange, because all the people in business, if God forbid you said, I don't like Lenny Bruce, to the comedians in my age group or younger, they go, what? Not that I've ever said that. But he had a thing that they were fascinated by. Yeah. They found him very brilliant.
It was satire. It was true satire.
Yeah, and it was kind of raw, you know.
Really,
really.
Well, he got in trouble because of
I mean, when I started out, I was a monk next to this guy. I mean, you know, he was.
It was a very different thing.
Yeah, but
I mean, he meant it to be real.
Yeah, and but they respected him as I did. You know.
Yeah. Dean Martin, did you know him?
Yes, I did. Marvelous man. Again, a gentleman that didn't hang out, played his golf, went home, did his shows. I did many Dean Martin shows, and he wasn't the kind of guy that, come on, let's have dinner. He wasn't that kind of guy. But
Frank loved him?
Tremendously, tremendously. And Dean didn't like the limelight, you know. He really didn't like the limelight.
He liked to play
all
golf.
the great success with Jerry Lewis and all.
Regis Philbin tells the story of going to some restaurant. And you could go there every night at a certain time.
Yeah.
Is that where it was?
One of them.
And Dean would be there eating alone.
Yeah.
And you were hesitant to go over and say hello. This was after his son died, and he was very much into his son.
As soon as the boy, Mr. Soul, was killed. The shoulders dropped. I call it the shoulders dropped.
And Sammy? Did you know Sammy well?
Yes, but not on a one-on-one basis. We didn't hang out, but he knew me very well, and I knew him very well. But
Would you have been part of the Rat Pack? Would you have loved that?
Well, I was in a way. I was
you were.
in the steam room. They called me. Frank gave me a bathrobe called the Rhino, with a rhino head on the back of the bathrobe. Donated. Giant rhino head. I had to walk around with that.
As in rhinoceros.
Yeah, that's right. And we had fun. 5 o'clock, I was in the lounge, and he'd bring me into the steam room, and I was part of that group with Dean and Frank and Sammy and firecrackers and booze and laughs.
Women.
It was great.
And
it was great. It was a great time. It really was. It was a great time. As you say, Sinatra, and I talk about him a lot in the book because he fascinated me too. He fascinated me.
Most people don't know this about you. John Landis is making a movie.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
About your life.
Yes, it's called Mr. Don Rickles, Mr. Warmth, Mr. Warmth, the Don Rickles Project.
Mr. Warmth.
Yeah, Johnny Carson gave me that title.
Yeah,
Mr. Warmth, the Don Rickles Project. And the news, Charlie. Oh, I'm glad you said the news. I just found out yesterday.
Yeah. They've
decided to put us on the New York festival.
Film festival. Oh, that'll be great. Then, so the film is made, the documentary is made.
Yes, it's
and
90,
you've seen it.
Yes, it's 80 minutes.
But it's not out yet. It'll be out when the film festival next year.
And it's going to be on a Saturday, October 13th, on a Saturday night.
Oh, that's great.
They gave it the premiere spot. I hope you're there to see it.
Oh, not only that, I can't wait to see it now.
And he did a great job.
Made.
My son Larry Rickles came with an idea. He said, Dad, why don't we just do It's Time, about your life and all, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Landis, who when he was a 17-year-old kid, we did a picture called Kelly's Heroes.
I remember. You and Telly Savalas and others.
Yes. Yeah. And he used to bring coffee. You know, he was Mr. Rickles' coffee. So I did a picture called Innocent Blood. And the first day he was the director with him, I said, John, get some coffee and a bun. He said, you're going to start that again? Blah, blah, blah. So he heard I was doing this, trying to do this with my son. I got to do this. And John dedicated himself to this project. And we had a minimum amount of money, and he raised the money. And I'm telling you, he did such a hell of a job, and he's so proud of it.
Tell me, what's the nature of it, though? I mean, because there's so many clips of you from all kinds of television shows, all kinds of things, so you can sort of capture the young Rickles through the middle Rickles, through the later Rickles.
That's pretty much...
I said that nicely, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I didn't say the old Rickles, the later Rickles.
You're smart, Charlie, because for the money I'm getting, I don't think you should insult me. So, Charlie...
But it's an honor to be here, though.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Now, I must say that. Every time I've mentioned that you're going to be on me, because with my in, I swear, I'm going to be on Charlie Rose. But you're going to be on Charlie Rose? I said, why? What is he going to do to me? But
So what's the Landis documentary about?
It's about, as you said, it's about me. He shows some of my performance in Vegas. Then he shows my family life. Then he shows my trips with Newhart in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Of all of us together.
Because somebody took home movies? Or?
Yeah, home movies. Bob.
You took them or
no,
Bob?
Bob. I got trouble holding it. Bob takes care of the luggage. I do nothing. When he sees this, he won't look at it.
No, he won't.
But anyway.
In fact, I have some incentive to have him on now.
Yeah.
Just to
you should.
appear after you.
He's great. Yeah. Anyway, so Bob used to, so he have home movies, the Newharts and Ginny and my wife, Barbara, in Europe. And then we show all interviews with people like Marty Scorsese, Robert De Niro, who does a great job. He goes, yeah. He's a good actor.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's all he said.
Well, John was climbing up a tree to get him to talk. Clint was cute and he didn't talk.
So De Niro said, he's a good actor.
Yeah, well, I'm exaggerating, but he didn't do much, but it was
much more. It wasn't much more.
It was delightful for him to be on it, though. Yes. I wouldn't want you to have to sit here with him for an hour, Because Bob's great. He's a great actor, but hello, folks, gets on his nerves. Anyway, so it shows all these different people, and certainly the stuff about my Sinatra years and my Vegas years in the lounge. And it does a whole cabage of all the things I've done and with these people saying things about themselves, connecting them with me, which is very interesting when you see it. And Sidney Poitier, who I adore.
I do too.
And Sidney is a very, very standoffish guy when it comes to interviews. He doesn't like, he was so nice. Oh, yeah. So he came on and he was adorable. And I've had great talks with Sidney. Yeah. But I said, Sidney, would you? He said, absolutely. And John came to the house, and he was beautiful.
So you got a lot of people talking about you.
Yeah.
And there's an interview with you that runs throughout the thing, too?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
And then you got excerpt from, is it performance with Princess Margaret when she was there? Is that, you have that on there, too?
I know.
Okay.
No, we have the inaugural of Reagan.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. When you think about performances and people have been in the audiences, tell me about Steve Wynn, Bill Gates.
You heard about
Warren Buffett, yes.
Oh, you did hear about that.
A lot of money in that room.
That's the greatest job I ever had.
Yeah.
They call up, NetJet calls. NetJet.
Right, NetJet, that's right.
Calls up.
Buffett owns NetJet.
Yeah. So calls up and says, listen.
And his convention in Las Vegas.
Right. He says, listen, you just said Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Steve Wynn, we're giving them this big party.
For Buffett or for Gates?
No, for the three of them.
For the three of them, okay.
And we want you to come up there in just 20 minutes as a surprise and walk out and destroy them. And plus 10 hours of NetJet and a bundle of money.
They're going to give you 10 hours of NetJet
plus a bundle of money.
Okay.
So and I went
for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I went up, and I don't want to do the whole thing, but my opening line was Warren Buffett, who I never met, was sitting right in the front, and it's summer, and his suit is wrinkled, from he has a linen suit on, and it's all wrinkled. And I get up, Charlie, and I walk over, I take out some money, and I say, Warren, here, get yourself get it pressed. Here's a couple of dollars. Whatever you need, you call me. Boom, boom. That's how I opened it.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I did the Bill Gates, stop playing with the toys. You're a grown man blowing up glass. Dude, get a job for crying out loud, And Steve Wynn, I said I want to shoot his dog and all that stuff.
He's got that great German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about Wynn and Las Vegas. Have you ever worked for him?
Oh, yes, I did. I worked for him.
He used to do the Golden Nugget, then he had the Treasure Island, then he had Bellagio, and now...
I worked for him at the original Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He and Frank were close or not?
Not really. No, he knew him. Everybody knew Steve. But he's a genius at designing hotels and putting things together. He's a very... Unfortunately, has a problem with his sight now, but with all of that, he is a charmer, and he knows how to do hotels and how to present shows. He's a master at what he does. Master.
I mean, really brilliant for concept.
Absolutely.
Changed Las Vegas, some people say.
Absolutely. And it all started with, but you got to realize when it was the wise guys, so to speak. I don't like to use that word, but they were. And when Howard Hughes came, that's when the ball game changed. Which I was sorry to see go.
What did he do?
He started buying up all the hotels.
I know that, but how did it change, though?
Well, it started to be, bring in your family, bring in your dog, bring in your grandma who's 108, And, gambling wasn't the big thing,
How did you handle wise guys?
Very, very good. They were great to me. I always had success because I was a gentleman, and I never butted into their lives. I'll tell you.
You didn't pull back because they were wise guys?
No, at the Copacabana, this is before a show, up in the lounge. I wouldn't say the fellow's name because it's not right to say it.
Yes.
My mother I walk over, and Joe Scandori was my manager for 40 years, and he talked like a bird. Sweetheart, don't worry, everybody's going to love you. Everybody's going to love you, don't worry about it.
He's talking to your mother, talking to you.
No, that's Joe Scandori.
Yes.
So now he says, go over to the table, they want to say hello to you. And it's this important guy with 4 other guys. I sit down, and I'm ready to talk, and my mother comes walking over and says, I'll call him Charlie. His name's not Charlie. Charlie, I want all the guns on the table. Don cannot sit here unless you put all the guns on the table. Hand to God.
It's great.
Guys put guns, in those days, put the guns on the table.
Is that right?
My hand to God. Put the guns on the table and said, okay.
Your mother's name was Etta or Ella?
Etta.
Etta.
And they said, now we can talk? Absolutely.
That's great. Man, she was wonderful.
Oh,
she was.
That drove me crazy.
Put your guns on the table.
That's right.
My Don doesn't talk to guys who have guns under the table.
Well, I'll give you an idea how the wise guys went to me, and they'd all sit in the front. There was one story in the book, which is true. Guy said to me, I'll make it fast. Guy said to me in Montreal, he was a wise guy sitting in the front. And my joke is that your wife? And I go, ooh. She's
yes.
Moose, must be over a fireplace. Look at this woman. Ooh. That's what I did. And the guy stared at me. Show's over, and he comes backstage. Yeah. And it's like in Goodfellas.
Right.
You think she's a moose? I said, it's a joke, Louis. It's a joke. Joke, huh? Make me laugh. Say it again, that she's a moose. I said, it was a joke. He said, I'm going to take care of this. You understand me? I'm going to take care of this. And he walked away. So I went and I picked up the phone and I called up New York, somebody that my manager and I knew. Well, next night, same guy. Sits down, hit the guy. Same girl. Ooh, there she is. Ooh. Comes backstage after the show. Okay. Tell her again. What? Tell her she's the most. She's the most. You see that? Is that a funny kid? Is that a funny kid, eh? Isn't he a riot? Son, I was so out of line the other night. I was in a bad mood. You were so funny. Called New York.
Called New York. New York called him.
Yeah, that's right. And I was robbed once.
By a wise guy?
No, I don't know. In Chicago, they gave me a lineup, I won't tell you who, of guys that might have done it.
The police did, or somebody else?
No, the police did.
Or the wise guys.
In the Ambassador Hotel, Charlie.
Yeah.
Ambassador Hotel. They did about 3 floors.
Right.
And Zsa Zsa Gabor, God love it, she was up there too. They took jewelry. They took stuff out of her. I came back. We were out for dinner. I come back. Drawers are open. Guys in white gloves. Mr. Rickles, I saw you in Vegas. You're a funny guy. I said, I was robbed. Oh, no, don't worry about it. Blah. I said, what did they take? Oh, don't worry. It's nothing. We'll find a guy. You're great in Vegas. Charlie, my lieutenant will tell you. You're a riot. Blah, blah. I said, geez, they took everything. They didn't take no fingerprints, nothing. They left. About a month later, in Florida, knock on the door.
He brought you stuff.
My mother opens it. Nobody's there. In a brown bag is half the stuff they took. And the word got back to me. They didn't know it was me. They were so sorry they didn't know it was me. Do you believe it? That's a true story.
It's a great story. When you go out on stage tonight, when will you be on stage again?
Oh, now I'm going to be home for a while. I won't go on until I go back to Bloomington, Illinois. And
College Town.
Yeah.
Now, do college students?
No, I don't do college. But the college kids come to see me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Young people now are seeing me, which is great.
See, they would. I can imagine that happening.
Charlie, I'm so thrilled. Young people are seeing me.
Yeah, because I mean, somehow there's an appreciation of what you did. But give me a sense of what, at the best of times, a day would be like for you. Well, at Vegas, what time would you get up, and what would you do, and how would you get ready, and what would happen?
Well, my whole thing is with my wife when she's with us most of the time in Vegas. We love after work to have dinner. We always eat late. If it's 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock
She's going to wait for her dawn.
Yeah, she meets me down in the dressing room. And we have our drink together, and then we go upstairs and have dinner. And if we have guests, that's what we do. Right. And we have dinner. And then
but when is the act? The act is at 8, 9,
10? The shows in Vegas are usually at 8 o'clock.
Right, and they go for an hour, 2 hours?
An hour and 10 minutes, or something like that. And then we go, well, there's somebody on before me, so sometimes it's longer. But anyway, so we go, then we have dinner, and then we go to bed, and I watch. I'm a late guy even at home, like earphones. I used to turn it off. Yeah, I got to watch television. I watch you. But I go beyond you. I go. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching a Western,
Yes.
But it's so used to nightlife.
Or a rerun of...
Yeah, rerun. Get Kelly's Heroes. But,
exactly.
But it's the idea, and then I get up, maybe 10, 11 o'clock, and a lot of times when my wife's with us, believe it or not, we go to a movie in Vegas together. We have popcorn, see an afternoon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, see an afternoon movie, come home at 5 o'clock. She goes and relaxes, and I start to work myself up, and I go down about an hour, good hour with Tony Opedisano, my road manager, and Paul Sheffrin, who's with me today. And they go down with me. I get dressed early. I go down, and my manager, Elliot Wiseman, usually calls me on the phone to see how I'm doing. And I go down early and just sit in civilian clothes and watch the ball game, the Dodgers or whatever's on, any sport, a big sports fair, Lakers.
Like the NBA, like the Lakers?
Yeah, Lakers, and watch all the sport things. And then have a drink. And then Conrad, my dresser assistant.
No, what?
Conrad is my dresser. And
your dresser?
Well, he helps me dress, Charlie. You never heard that expression?
No.
Well, Charlie, when you get to be 81, you won't be able to get dressed. You'll be in a home spitting up. I know you, Charlie.
Conrad helps you dress?
Sure.
What does he do?
He hands me the tuxedo and the shoes and the socks. And
That's
you think
all
I'm
he
going to do
does?
that? Sure. No, he don't.
What does Conrad? No. What does Conrad do?
He's a valet.
He's a valet.
Yes.
Charlie, you need a valet.
Pull yourself together, Charlie.
How long did Conrad work for you?
Well, he's with me now almost 4 years.
4?
Yeah. Well, you want 5? Okay, 5. 4.
No, but you've always had a valet.
Always. I had a fellow called Harry Goins that was with me for 40 years.
For 40.
That's right.
Late Harry.
He passed away.
He passed away.
Great guy. And he would be a protector, which Conrad isn't. But Not that I did, but in those days when it was tough joints, and he was a bartender, and my mother loved him. Yeah. And all of a sudden we gave him this Harry Goins. We gave him $50 a week to shop for us, and then you're fascinated by that.
I am.
And then
that's why I asked the question: what's the life of a comedian?
So I'm telling you. So there it is. Get dressed, do the show, and do the same thing over and over again. And my days are normal. Sometimes, in the old days, I'd play golf. I don't play golf anymore.
Why'd you stop playing golf?
Well, because I had a ruptured Achilles years ago, and they said, and I have a little bit of a bad back now, but the ruptured Achilles, they said, would be tennis I loved, too. I was pretty good.
But play with Carson? You ever play with Carson?
No, he was too great. He too busy. But I played up in Lake Tahoe, and suddenly, bang, working up in there, working for Bill Harris, playing tennis, and bang. I thought somebody took a shot at me. Yeah. And my leg was over there. And the doctor said, if ever you play again, the other leg could be frayed. So I suggest you don't.
So that was no more tennis.
No more tennis. And then I played golf for a while, and then my back started bothering me. Yeah. And I stopped.
But do you miss it a lot? Because I love both of them so much.
Yeah, I love golf. I do. I do miss golf. But hey, it was either that or,
Yeah. Are you in great health now?
Considering, yes. Except for my back. I'm 81.
On your back?
Right, my back.
You've been married for
42 years.
42 years.
Right.
She's doing well?
Thank God, yes.
Knock on the table.
Yeah.
It's been
I'm sorry you didn't meet her. You'd love her.
Well, I would have. No, I can tell you that right now. I will always remember the story. Put the guns on the table, boys. Having a valet like that's all Harry did was bring your clothes out. Your tux for the show.
He shopped. He took care of things.
He shopped.
Oh, he can. He took care of the clothes. He took care.
You're traveling like a king.
Luggage. Well, I always had that. I was the kind of guy when I was a kid. My father, I'd say to a guy, here's a glass of water. Here's $4. Get me 4 more glasses. That's my father always did. Here's $5. Make the car work. We could do nothing. The car go rah, 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 rah. Guy in the street would say, fella, you know anything about cars? Here's $5. Make the car work. That's the truth. And I was always like that, helpless. That's why I have Tony and Paul. I always had...
What did Tony and Paul do?
Well, Paul's a publicist, and Tony's my road manager.
How long can you do this? How long do you want to do this?
I want to do it until I feel the audience isn't laughing, or please God, or God forbid, I lose it.
Right,
I can't do it.
Right.
I mean, why quit when I'm still available, and I'm still showing up, and now I'm thrilled about this New York documentary and the book, and so my career at this stage hasn't slowed up, and I'm just as fast, in my opinion, as I ever was. You don't agree?
No, I know.
That little pause scared me,
but the pause was dramatic effect. Let it sink in. I'm just as fast as I've ever been.
Okay, good. Scared me, Charlie.
All right, so this is a good year. You're 81 years old. Yeah. You got a movie about your life. John Landis, not a bad producer.
Great
filmmaker. Director. You got a book that David Ritz wrote with you.
Absolutely.
You're appearing on... Jimmy Kimmel did an hour with you.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
he did.
Larry King is a great friend.
Letterman
many
too.
times.
Letterman's great. Letterman has a lot of Johnny Carson in him.
He does.
When I'm on his show. I feel a lot of that. Jay is good. Don't misunderstand.
I know. It's
but Letterman has that little bit of Johnny Carson.
What is that?
He's a Midwest guy, and like you are, you're the Southern guy. Yeah. He's a Midwest guy that just sits there and knows when to jump on you and knows when to, which Johnny did.
Has a feeling in the rhythm of the thing, and really wants you to look good and have good. Wants to see you happy.
Jay does too. I don't want to make
I know. But
Jimmy's a dog. Jimmy's like a cherub. Jimmy's like, hello. Well, Larry King too throws the glasses on the floor. They laugh, But David plays another game. He's very attentive, as you are, very attentive. And yet knows when to jump in.
The interesting thing about David, I talk to guys like...
Have you interviewed David?
I have, indeed. Sat right here and smoked a cigar for the entire interview.
You are very lucky. He's another guy hard to reach. I couldn't get him on my special.
I know.
We asked him, and he
does think a very interesting life. He spent... First of all, he's bought land all over the place. He has 25 acres. It may have changed now. Yeah. 25 acres down in St. Bart's. He's got thousands of acres.
Very smart.
In Montana. He made
race cars.
Lots of money. He races cars. He's very interested in living. Yeah. But he's not a guy that hangs out. You don't see him hanging out in New York. I've never seen him at a restaurant in my life.
You know what he did in the restaurant for me, Charlie? You know what he did? I always made a joke on the show. Have dinner with me? No, I can't. No, Charlie, come on.
You said that to him.
Yeah, have dinner with me. Because Regis is always Regis filming who I adore. I used to just out with him last night. He's just a great guy.
You asked David to have dinner. He said, well, let's have dinner.
Yeah, that's no. And I did this a few times. So one night, I get through, and one of the producers says, Don, are you going? I said, I'm going. Go to 21 tonight. I said, why? Just do what I ask. I said to the wife, okay, we'll go to 21. We go to 21. Maitre D comes over and says, Don, go downstairs. You got to see something. And I go down into the wine cellar.
Right.
And there he had his entire crew and cast, and his producing people, and, you know, and light people, all, sitting with a giant buffet all set up for me and my wife. And he came down.
It's
That's
classic.
what he did. That's what
classic.
he showed up. Then he did it again but on a smaller scale. But so I had it.
People, I'm not a friend of his, you know, but I know him and respect him, and his executive producer used to work with me briefly. And what is amazing about him is that he would do that, you know, and the fact that he loves people like Snyder. He loves Snyder for what he was.
Tom was great. Give him to Tom, too.
Yeah.
Lovely
he loved, but David loves that. He loved Jack Parr, David did, you know. It's a great, he loves Regis. You know, he has a great appreciation for people, you know, who do what they do really, really well. And he also has a great appreciation for people who've been giants in comedy or in broadcasting or, you know, I mean, the legends. I mean, and it just shows you his sense of respect for excellence and deep inside the generosity.
Yeah.
And the shyness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, tremendous shyness. Strange. Well, Johnny had the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Light goes on, Charlie, both of them. Light goes on.
And Johnny had, in a different way, all these interests. He loved astronomy, you know, and he loved to play the drums.
Oh, yeah.
He loved to do all that kind of stuff, you know. And he still had all these interests.
You never got him on the show,
No.
did you?
No, never tried hard, although I knew he watched the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
he would
was
like
communicating to me that he watched the show a lot.
I know he would like it.
You know. This book is called Rickles' Book, Don Rickles with David Ritz. John Landis' documentary will be out later this year. Perhaps we can redo something when this movie comes out at the New York Film Festival.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. I would love that.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Charlie. And it's a really a pleasure to meet you, because I had no idea when we submitted our name to your people. I said, gee, he's not going to, it's a different life. And everybody said to me, what an interesting thing. You're going to be on with Charlie Rose, you on Charlie Rose? I'm very flattered that you asked me.
Thank you, Don. Don Rickles for the hour. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.